Previously on Spenelli Speaks. I am very pleased that everyone wanted to hear more about Kristen Lavenstatter. Yay! Hi everyone, Danny here. Welcome back to my channel. I decided to come outside today for my book reviews for today. We are still going further on our 31 days of book reviews. I think we're on to day 11? Yeah, I think it's day 11. I have to apologize for any of the background noise that you may hear, and then of course Dwight and Kingston, if they see a squirrel, a leaf fall from the tree, anything like that, they will bark. So anywho, let's get into today's review, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that everyone wanted to hear more about Jane Austen, which was very exciting, especially for it being Jane Austen July. I think it's super fun to get into her books and books about her during this time. Now, the first book that I'll talk to you about is the Little People, Big Dreams series, and this one in particular is about Jane Austen. If you've seen these books, they actually have quite a few people that they have done. So if you go into the very back of the book, you'll see they have kind of more to offer. So they have Coco Chanel, Maya Angelou, Amelia Earhart, Rosa Parks, Audrey Hepburn, Georgia O'Keeffe. So it's really nice to see all of these fierce females being shown in such a great way, especially to introduce them to children. So I actually took a snapshot of this because I would like to read all of the Little People, Big Dreams books. Now, as far as a review for the book itself, as you can see, very rudimentary drawings as far as the illustrations, but cute nonetheless. It's very, nice, but pencil drawings and kind of colored in. This obviously is showing the Austen household and little Jane over here behind the tree, but she came from a very large family, as we know. The lettering is here, and then very brief, not too much on each page, so you can see this is a 2-page spread with just a little bit up in the corner. The story itself just kind of goes on to talk to you a little bit about Jane and her upbringing, her education, that she's a fierce reader, which we all loved about her, and kind of how she grew up. And from what I understand of her upbringing, I feel like this was accurate, but also a little bit exaggerated, I guess, because they talk about how much Jane presented in front of her family, and though that's true, I do believe that they were more inclined to listen to the boys than they were to the girls, but that could just be that I haven't read enough history of Jane Austen. And then they talk about how she fell in love with a boy named Tom, and that he chose someone else over her, which I'm pretty sure she had a proposal and then she declined it, but that might be, maybe Tom came earlier on. But anywho, it goes through a lot of her life and kind of her heroines that she talks about. And then in the very back, which I really appreciated, it actually has a little bit of a timeline, but also not a timeline. Then it shows these time eras, but I'm not quite sure what they're referring to because the text that's here does not actually talk about the years. So I was kind of confused by that. And then I believe as well, nope, that must be in the other book. So, and then this, which was my favorite part, is to find out what else they had. So I felt the story itself was very brief, very almost skeleton-like of what I thought would have been in here, but very beautiful. I feel like it would hold a child's attention. I would say maybe in the 3 to 4 to 5 range, and just really nice to look at. Nice pictures and whatnot. So I would, if I was going to give this a star rating, I'd probably give it in the 3 range. So that was Little People, Big Dreams of Jane Austen. Now the other book that I picked up, which is called Ordinary Extraordinary Jane Austen by Deborah Hopkinson, I really liked this one. So again, similar in the fact that it is about Jane Austen's upbringing. And I love the illustrations in this one. They almost look like watercolors, but like a fine description or drawing there. And then on the other page they'll have kind of the story. And then, I mean, just look at these drawings. They're just so beautiful. I just love them. The pastels are just beautiful. And it kind of talks about her as a young lady. It kind of goes through like what her household was like. So it shows that, you know, she was part of a household that took in young boys to be taught by her father. And I just love down here the library. And then, of course, that there's a family of dancing and playing cards and telling stories. And it just really was wonderful to see all these pictures. And then at Christmas time where they would put on pageants. So it was just really, I felt like it had so much more, like the story just was so much more intriguing, and I feel like there was more offered. I love the books here. Like this would be a perfect like little painting to have in your room. I just love the illustrations in this one. She's kind of like in a little nook here reading, and it kind of goes on to when she started to write her juvenilia. And then it also talks about how her father kind of tried to help her. He got her like a what did they call it, like a fine mahogany writing box. So kind of how her family encouraged her to do some writing and whatnot. And then it goes on to as she kind of grew up and all of like the dancing that they had, and then goes on to talk about how she tried to get her first book published, but it was declined. And then kind of how talked about how she wrote anonymously, like as I think it was called A Lady, oh yeah, by a lady, and then how that kind of came to be as far as like in her lifetime she did see that her books were successful, but at the same time she would never have seen how successful they have become throughout time, how we have all really enjoyed all of Jane Austen's work and how they've been in adaptations and whatnot. And then here comes where I really enjoy, like for an adult reading a children's book, we have a full timeline. So from 1775 to 1871. And then we also have, which this was awesome, they actually explain a little bit of each of her books. So they say when it was published, famous quotes from the book, and then a little bit of what it's about. So a very like one-liner about each book. So we have Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, and then on the flip side, we have Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. And then each book, not only this one, but the Little People, Big Dreams, they did have a list of like a list of books that were referenced. So it's nice to see that. They also kind of reference the Jane Austen Museum and other places you can learn more about Jane Austen. So I highly recommend this particular children's book. I thought the illustrations were wonderful. I thought the information shared was amazing, and especially in the very back, the timeline and the little bits about each book was phenomenal. So this one, I would want this for my own library. I really liked this one a lot. And not that this one was poor, I would say it was still good, but I would say just a younger child would like this one, whereas this one I would maybe say 6, 7, 8 would appreciate more. So those are those two children's book about Jane Austen. I hope as you're getting through Jane Austen July that you are finding yourself some great books. These I found in my library's children's section, so it was wonderful to find those, and really just pleased to kind of sit and look through them and feel like a kid again and see all those illustrations. So on for tomorrow's reviews, I'm going to actually give you a choice of 2 audiobooks that I've listened to this year, one of which is Confessions of a Domestic Failure by Bunmi Laditan, and I'll put the picture here. I listened to this in audio, and that was my second time reading that book, so I'll be very excited to share with you a little bit about that. And then the second book that I have for you to vote on is another audiobook that I listened to, and that was Ashes of London by Andrew Taylor. That I think came out recently, maybe in the last year or so. So yeah, I'm really excited to share with you those 2 audiobooks. So make sure you comment below and let me know which one you would like to hear about for tomorrow. Until next time, I hope you all are reading something great, taking care, and staying safe. And as always, you know how it goes. Happy reading. Bye.